On September 27, 2004, 18-year-old Brittany Phillips finished her college classes and headed back to her Tulsa, Oklahoma apartment. She called her mom that evening, just a regular check-in between a college kid and her mother. They chat, they laugh, they say goodbye. Neither of them knows it's the last time they'll ever speak. Brittany was found murdered 3 days later, just 4 days shy of her 19th birthday. Welcome to Midnight Shadows and Secrets, where we explore the darkest corners of true crime, haunting cold cases, and the mysteries that refuse to fade. From long-forgotten disappearances to unsolved murders and chilling twists you won't see coming, we dive deep into the stories that keep you up at night. If you're drawn to the unexplained, the eerie, and the tragic truths hidden in the shadows, you're in the right place. Subscribe now and join us as we shine a light on the secrets time tried to bury. Now, let's dive into Brittany's story, and the story of a mother's fight for answers. On October 4th, 1985, a radiant light entered the world. Brittany Phillips was born with a chubby round face and a halo of corkscrew blonde curls that could melt the hardest of hearts. She was a child of promise, joy, and ambition, a young woman who dreamed of helping others, of making a mark on the world through science and compassion. But that light was extinguished far too soon. Brittany Phillips was intelligent, joyful, and full of life. After graduating high school, she received a full-ride scholarship to Eckerd College in Florida, where her father lived. But like many teens thrust into unfamiliar surroundings, Brittany found herself lonely and homesick. In May 2004, she decided to move back to Tulsa, enrolling in Tulsa Community College. She chose to live independently in the Glen Eagles apartments, eager to grow her roots again in the city she knew best. She had plans to pursue a degree in chemistry with the dream of one day entering the field of cancer research. She was vibrant, social, and known for her quick laugh and clumsy charm. She loved dancing and singing with her mother, but more than that, she was kind. As her mother has often said, Brittany was light. 3 days pass. Brittany's friends can't reach her. One of them decides to check on her, and when they get to her apartment, what they find inside is going to haunt Tulsa, Oklahoma for the next 20 years. Brittany has been raped and strangled to death in her own bedroom. Now here's where this DNA match, find the killer. For 15 years, Tulsa police work this angle. They test nearly 3,000 men against this sample. 3,000. They bring in Caravan nanolabs to create one of those phenotype composite sketches from the DNA. You know the ones. They show what the person might look like based on their genetic markers. They investigate hundreds of potential suspects. And then, in 2019, they finally get a hit. The DNA matches someone. Plot twist. Police now say this person had absolutely nothing to do with the murder. Let me say that again. 15 years of investigation, 3,000 DNA tests, hundreds of suspects eliminated, all based on DNA that investigators now believe is completely unrelated to the crime. The person it matched? Reportedly a friend of the family with a solid alibi. How does unrelated DNA end up at a rape-murder scene? Excellent question. Police haven't explained that. They've just quietly moved on like they didn't waste 15 years chasing a ghost. But wait, it gets worse. Remember how I said there was no sign of forced entry? Well, turns out there's a detail about this apartment complex that changes everything. In Brittany's closet, there was a small door. That door led to an attic space that was shared between 7 apartments. 7. Anyone who had access to any of those 7 apartments could have slipped into that attic, crawled over to Brittany's apartment, and dropped down through her closet. Think about that for a second. We're not talking about one apartment's worth of suspects anymore. We're talking about everyone who lived in, visited, or had keys to 7 different units. Maintenance workers, previous tenants who kept copies of keys, friends of residents, anyone. So now we have a case where the main piece of evidence was apparently meaningless. The entry method opens up a massive pool of potential suspects, and 20 years have passed with the real killer walking free. Let me tell you about Brittany's mom, because this woman is extraordinary. Dr. Maggie Zingman is a trauma psychologist and a former victim advocate, and she has not sat still for one day since her daughter was murdered. She bought a vehicle, had it wrapped with Brittany's picture and the words, "Caravan to catch a killer," and has driven over 300,000 miles across this country, trying to keep her daughter's case alive. 30 cross-country trips, 300,000 miles, conference after conference, police department after police department, handing out flyers, talking to anyone who will listen. And you know what one TV producer told her when she tried to get coverage for Brittany's case? They said it was too boring for television. Too boring. A young woman is raped and murdered in her own home. The killer potentially accessed her apartment through a shared attic like something out of a horror movie. The police waste 15 years on the wrong DNA evidence, and it's too boring for TV. Here's what we know for certain. Brittany died sometime between 9 p.m. on September 27th and 8 a.m. on September 28th. She was strangled or suffocated. No rope, no weapon, just brutal manual force. There was a pillowcase at the scene that might have belonged to the killer, but police can't confirm that. And whoever did this has been walking free for 20 years. Think about the profile here. This is someone who either knew about that attic access or got incredibly lucky. Someone strong enough to overpower a healthy 18-year-old woman who fought back. Someone who's been disciplined enough or lucky enough to avoid detection even when police were testing thousands of men for DNA matches. This could be someone who lived in that complex. Could be a maintenance worker who knew the building's layout. Could be someone who visited frequently enough to learn about that attic. They might have moved away right after September 2004, or they might still be in Tulsa, living their life, thinking they got away with it. But here's the thing about cold cases. They're cold, not dead. Someone knows something. Someone noticed their friend or partner acting strange in late September 2004. Someone remembers a maintenance worker who gave them the creeps. Someone knows who had access to those 7 apartments. Brittany Phillips wanted to be a cancer researcher. She was brilliant, funny, clumsy in that endearing way that made everyone love her. She had a full scholarship to Eckerd College, but came back to Tulsa because she was homesick. She just wanted to be near her family and friends while she figured out her path. She was 18 years old with her whole life mapped out in front of her. Instead, she was buried on what should have been her 19th birthday. Her mother is still driving those hundreds of thousands of miles, still hoping someone will remember something, see something, say something. After 20 years of wrong turns, dead ends, and that catastrophic DNA mistake, this case needs fresh eyes. It needs someone to look past what investigators assumed and see what they missed. Were you in Tulsa in 2004? Did you know anyone who lived at the Glen Eagles Apartments, which is now called Somerset Park at Union? Did you know anyone who suddenly left town in late September or early October of that year? Even the smallest detail could be the key that finally unlocks this case. If you know something, contact the Tulsa Police Cold Case Unit or Crime Stoppers. And if you see a vehicle wrapped with a young woman's face driving through your town, that's Maggie Zingman, still searching for her daughter's killer, still refusing to let Brittany be forgotten. Because that's the thing about mothers, they don't give up. And that's the thing about the truth. It has a way of surfacing, even after 20 years. Someone out there knows what happened in that apartment on September 27, 2004. After 2 decades of living with that secret, maybe it's time they finally came forward. Brittany Phillips would be 39 years old today. She never got to finish college, never got to become that cancer researcher, never got to have a family of her own. But her story isn't over. Not while her mother keeps driving. Not while people keep asking questions. Not while her killer is still out there, thinking they're safe. They're not safe. They're just running out the clock. And in cold cases, sometimes that clock runs a very, very long time before it finally strikes justice. Thanks for watching Midnight Shadows and Secrets. If you found this case intriguing, give it a like, leave a comment with your thoughts or theories, and don't forget to subscribe for more true crime deep dives and chilling mysteries. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.